Hi guys, it's Michelle, and today's video is going to be yet another childhood ruining conspiracy theories for you guys. I love these videos because I just love being nostalgic, talking about my favorite TV shows and movies from when I was a kid. So without further ado, let's get into the different conspiracy theories. Alright, the first conspiracy theory I want to talk about comes from Shrek. So I love Shrek. I haven't actually watched it in so long. I kind of feel like I need to rewatch just to see what it's like as an adult, you know? But either way, I saw this really interesting theory about who Lord Farquaad actually is. So as we know in Shrek, all of the characters are very much like part of various fairy tales that we've probably all heard of before. Like the bears from Goldilocks are in it, they've got the gingerbread man, there's Rumpelstiltskin. Like there's so many different instances of different characters from classic fairy tales. But where the hell is Lord Farquaad from? You might be asking. Well, there's a conspiracy theory that a lot of people think that Lord Farquaad is actually the child of Grumpy from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and the evil queen. I think that this makes a lot of sense, and part of this theory is actually confirmed to be true. So Lord Farquaad is 100% the son of Grumpy. That is confirmed in Shrek the musical. And it's said that Lord Farquaad's mother is actually the princess from A Princess and a Pea or whatever. I personally just think that makes no sense, and it's a way better conspiracy theory that it is actually Grumpy and the evil queen that are Lord Farquaad's parents, because he literally inherited the magic mirror. Like, it just makes way more sense for Lord Farquaad to be the evil queen's son. I 100% believe this theory. I think it's really cool. I love when things kind of tie in like that, and I at least love that Grumpy really is his dad. And that explains why Lord Farquaad is so short, is because he is half dwarf. I don't know. A lot of people also think that Snow White could be his mother, but then Snow White also shows up as one of the potential bachelorettes in Shrek for Lord Farquaad to get married to, so I feel like that kind of cancels out that theory. I just think the theory of his mother being the evil queen fits perfectly because he is kind of evil, and also they look very similar. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Alright, the next couple theories I want to talk about come from none other than High School Musical. So everyone loves High School Musical. It's quite iconic. There are quite a few conspiracy theories from High School Musical that I found to be really interesting. One being High School Musical is basically the movie Inception. So this theory goes that all three High School Musical movies are actually a part of one long actual High School Musical. So obviously, when we're watching High School Musical, it's like a movie about a bunch of teenagers who are also starring in their High School Musical. But the thing is, a lot of the music, most of the music actually happens outside of the musical parameters. So there is a theory that each film of High School Musical is not actually following, Troy, Gabriella, Sharpay, Ryan, Chad. All these people are not actually the high schoolers, but they are actors being played by other high school students of different names for this giant 3-act long, genuine High School Musical. I feel like it's kind of tricky to explain, but the end of High School Musical 3 kind of confirms this theory. I mean, I guess it could just be a cute little nod or whatever, but how the movie ends is their graduation sequence, and then they go on a stage and then the curtains close. So I don't know, I guess a lot of people come up with the conspiracy theory that maybe High School Musical is 1, 2, and 3 are actually just 3 separate acts of an actual High School Musical, and it's basically a musical about a musical. I don't know. It kind of checks out. It also explains why, I know it's a musical, but they're literally just singing, dancing, have the choreography down pat in the middle of the cafeteria, just for fun. So I guess it explains the flash mobs of it, but let me know what you guys think of this theory. If you're a huge High School Musical fan, do you think it's possible that none of these characters are really real and they're actually just in a High School Musical about a High School Musical? I don't know. Let me know. One of my favorite theories about High School Musical is that Chad and Ryan were actually supposed to be a couple in High School Musical 2. I think that this is so there that I cannot believe I didn't notice it as a child. It is so obvious during the whole I Don't Dance sequence. The chemistry is palpable. Like, it is so there. And then at the end of the song, tell me why Ryan and Chad switch outfits. What other reason besides that they hooked up? They obviously fucked. Like, that's just, what do you mean? I think that Disney wanted to be gay with this, but they couldn't, because it was still too soon for Disney to have explicitly gay characters, but like Ryan was clearly gay. That's like kind of actually confirmed. So I don't know. I believe this theory. I think it's funny and cool. So let me know your thoughts. My favorite High School Musical theory is honestly more of an opinion, but it has genuinely been bothering me since like 2009. Sharpay was the victim the entire time. Like, hear me out. How I feel about Sharpay and Gabriella is exactly how I feel about Trina and Tori from Victorious. Trina's the victim in so many different ways, but that's for another day. Sharpay, quite literally, and Ryan, dedicated their entire lives to theater. They worked all of these years being involved with theater community and just wanting to be on the top of the theater food chain. That's what they did. It was so ingrained in Sharpay and Ryan's DNA, and also Sharpay was literally made fun of for being a theater kid. And then all of a sudden, Troy Bolton, Mr. Frickin' Basketball guy, joins the School Musical, and it's cool now to be a theater kid. What the fuck is that? And not for nothing, but if it was me and I worked so hard to be in theater, I was clearly the best one and was always getting the lead roles because I worked so hard to get there. And then these two little popular dweebs came through and was just like, nah, we got this. I would be so pissed. Like, I would be infuriated. And I just feel like Sharpay does not get enough credit where credit is due. Because despite all of it, she was low-key a victim the entire time. And I just think she had her job stolen from her. That sucks. Does it happen in real Broadway? Like, yeah, I guess. But, like, how... I know a lot of you were theater kids. How annoyed would you be if the lead role was taken by, like, a fucking jock? They just came in and did that. I just have to say, I believe this theory 100%, and let me know your thoughts. All right, Beetlejuice 2 has made me very excited about Beetlejuice again. I love this movie. I loved Beetlejuice. I thought it was a great film. I feel like a lot of people kind of had beef with it, and I'm really not understanding why. I thought they did a great job. But there are a lot of conspiracy theories that surround Beetlejuice and have been surrounding Beetlejuice for like the past 30 years. So let's talk about the theory revolving around the original movie that will change your entire perspective of the movie. So there is a dark theory that Adam and Barbara's deaths were actually not so accidental. So in the beginning of the movie, we see so much money and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden they leave town and they die. They're driving, a dog walks in front of their path that ends up killing them because they drive off the bridge. A lot of fan theories point out that maybe Jane was the one who actually lured the dog to be right in front of the Maitland's car exactly when it was. And a lot of people even potentially think that maybe Jane had tampered with the Maitland's car brakes, and that is why they couldn't really swerve for this dog. Why it literally like sped out of control and off the bridge to their death. I feel like I believe this theory. Let me know your guys' thoughts though, and if you saw Beetlejuice, let me know your thoughts as well. A lot of people think that the reason, I guess this is like another conspiracy about the franchise as a whole, but a lot of people think that Beetlejuice was called that instead of Beetlejuice 2, so that the third film would be called Beetlejuice, which obviously you cannot say the name 3 times. And then the fourth film, if there were one, would be called It's Showtime. I personally think it was called Beetlejuice because they do not want to continue the franchise, which is why there would never be a movie called Beetlejuice, because you're not supposed to say his name 3 times. Right? Like, I don't know. I wish I was on your team of believing that they did it so that there would be 2 more movies, but I personally think that there's probably not going to be 2 more movies or even 1 more movie, but I mean, I'd be down if there were. I just think at this point, everyone's getting kind of old, which is scaring me, and I hate it. So, I don't know. Let me know your guys' thoughts. All right, the next conspiracy theory I want to talk about is all about the Haunted Mansion. This is one of my favorite rides at Disneyland, and there's a conspiracy theory behind it that just freaking ruins it. So in the beginning of the ride, the ghost host is with you standing in the elevator, and they're talking about how the room is stretching, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, there's no windows and no doors. And he says that you can go my way out. And then the lights flash and show skeleton hanging from like the ceiling, like in a noose, which is basically saying that the only way out of the Haunted Mansion is by dying. So it's believed that the entire concept of the Haunted Mansion is you traveling through the afterlife. I mean, quite literally, the ride starts in a graveyard, so this kind of makes sense. And at the end of the ride, you're like looking into this whole little like mirror thing, and it's like, and now the ghosts are haunting you. And it's just a bunch of ghosts with a bunch of different names. And one time when I was on it, it said my name on the wall. I don't understand how they knew that. This was before the magic bands, first of all, but second of all, I didn't have fast passes for this ride, so it was like not like there's no way that they would have known I was on that ride at that specific moment, and I hate it. So sometimes I convince myself that I've just been actually dead ever since then. I'm a ghost. Like, what is wrong with me? Speaking of spooky things, let's talk about Halloween Town. I love the Halloween Town movies. They are some of my favorite films ever. I actually got to start watching them because it's already September. Let's go. It's going to be Christmas next month, so you know how it goes. But the original movie actually had a way darker ending than I think anyone would expect from something so lighthearted like Halloween Town. So in the first Halloween Town movie, we see that Marnie realizes that the talisman has to go in the giant pumpkin in Halloween Town because mortal see, mortal do, and that's representing a jack-o'-lantern. But this was actually not the original plan. The original plan was to have Marnie go through this forest to install the talisman, and through the forest, she was going to go through this part of the forest that would literally make you age extremely rapidly. And so it was going to end with Marnie as like an old person basically installing this talisman, which would have just been so creepy. And this was so pointed out and planned out to the point where they actually made molds of Kimberly J. Brown's face because they were making like older masks for this part of the movie. And I just feel like this would have been such an eerie, weird ending, and I don't even know how they would have continued on after that, because like it ended up being cute and fun like jack-o'-lantern, and I'm here for that instead because that ending is very creepy. Speaking of Kimberly J. Brown, the most childhood ruining fact that I've learned is that she actually did want to be in Halloween Town 4, but they decided to cast Sarah Paxton instead. This is really upsetting to me. I always thought that there was a conflict, because that's what Disney made it seem like. There was a conflict between Kimberly J. Brown and the Halloween Town shooting schedule. That was 100% what I always thought, and that's not true. Kimberly J. Brown herself said that she would have been happy to be Marnie again, and they instead just decided to replace her, which is so fucked up, because that would have made the 4th movie the best movie, because low-key it had the best plot. I'm gonna say it. And yeah, I'm really upset. All right, the next 2 conspiracy theories come from SpongeBob. So SpongeBob is just naturally gonna have a lot of conspiracy theories around it, because clearly the people who made SpongeBob were high as fuck when they did it. Like, I just feel like every episode you're just like, what the hell is happening? And you know, the answer is drugs. So one pretty popular theory is that each character of the Bikini Bottom represents different mental disorders. So SpongeBob represents ADHD, which explains why he's very hyperactive, overly enthusiastic, and constantly bouncing off the walls from one activity to the next. He also finds it extremely difficult to focus on one thing, and his inability to sit still and his impulsive behavior are pretty consistent with ADHD symptoms. Patrick Star has an intellectual disability. Patrick is seen as being very slow and forgetful and unable to grasp simple concepts. His speech and decision-making process is also quite slowed down and is often reflective of having lower cognitive ability. He also has a pretty infrequent ability to understand basic social cues, and his lack of being able to understand different situations is consistent with developmental delays. Squidward is clinically depressed. He's constantly irritable, feelings of hopelessness. He lacks enthusiasm for life overall, and he just has a very overwhelming sense of dissatisfaction with his job, his neighbors, and his daily routine. His lack of interest in anything beyond music and art, paired with his inability to find joy in almost anything, can also be seen as classic depressive symptoms. Sandy Cheeks has OCD. Sandy's obsession with cleanliness, order, and her scientific experiments tie her to obsessive compulsive tendencies. She's also very highly focused on maintaining control both in her personal life and her career, and she becomes very frustrated and anxious when things don't go according to plan. Mr. Krabs is a freaking narc. He's got narcissistic personality disorder. His obsession with money and his just generally self-centered nature are very clear markers of narcissistic personality disorder. He often is, and if not different mental disorders, I think that it makes sense that the SpongeBob characters represent the 7 deadly sins. And let's talk about that. So SpongeBob would be lust, because he embodies such a lust for life, his overwhelming desire for adventure, friendship, work. All of it reflects insatiable cravings for constant activity and excitement. Patrick Star would be representative of sloth because he's super lazy. He spends most of his time sleeping and avoiding responsibility and just generally being quite inactive. Squidward represents wrath. He is obviously constantly angry and frustrated, especially towards SpongeBob and Patrick, and that represents the sin of wrath. Mr. Krabs obviously represents greed because he is overwhelmingly obsessed with money, obviously desiring wealth. He prioritizes money above literally anyone and anything else, so quite exactly greed. Plankton represents envy because Plankton's entire persona is envying Mr. Krabs' success, and that's what drives him throughout his entire life. Sandy Cheeks represents pride because she takes such an immense pride in her Texan heritage. And also she takes a lot of pride in her scientific abilities, and she just kind of is boasting a lot. She's very self-centered in that way. And finally, Gary represents gluttony because he just always has a strong appetite for food. That bitch is always hungry. Not gonna lie. I think these theories are super interesting and obviously just make a darker, kind of more intense take on SpongeBob that, I don't know, I like it. I think it's fun. But let me know your thoughts. Alright, the next theories I want to talk about come from The Proud Family. The Proud Family is just such a great show. Underrated as fuck, honestly. And there are so many different conspiracy theories surrounding the show. Let's talk about it. All right, the first theory I want to talk about is about how the Proud Family is actually part of a large secretive organization or society that links their success to like kind of an Illuminati type of thing. So the basis of this theory is that it is kind of confusing as to where the Proud Family gets their wealth. Because Oscar Proud's snack business is notoriously unsuccessful. Like that's kind of part of the entire plot. So it's basically suggested that Oscar's connection to the secret society is what's responsible for keeping him and his family financially afloat. So Penny's mother, Trudy Proud, also comes from a very wealthy, influential family. Her parents are both doctors, and a lot of people think that possibly Trudy's family is part of this old money type of elite group, similar to the Illuminati. I think that the reason that this theory kind of comes into play a lot is because there's a lot of conspiracy theories behind Wizard Kelly, because obviously Wizard Kelly is like one of the most wealthiest, powerful figures in the show, but he is a faceless persona. Like he doesn't have a face. That's part of the whole thing. And a lot of people think that maybe he is more than just a business mogul. Some people think that maybe Wizard Kelly is part of, or if not leading, this secret society. And I don't know, I think this theory could be actually pretty interesting. The next theory from the Proud Family that I just absolutely love is the theory that Sugar Mama is actually immortal. I mean, I believe this because she's iconic and she just is immortal. So throughout the series, we low-key see Sugar Mama have just some fucking crazy strength, like physical strength, that is just beyond what you would expect, not only someone of her age, but just of an average person of a healthy young age would be able to do. Like, she just has excellent coordination. She can lift super heavy things. She's like low-key very fast. Like, obviously it's supposed to just be the gag because she's supposed to be like a grandma, but she can do all of these like crazy tricks. But what if she's actually immortal? Despite being the oldest character on the show, Sugar Mama really actually kind of has not that many signs of aging. Some people believe that Sugar Mama has discovered the secret to eternal youth, or a lot of people even think that maybe she has some sort of magic involved in the situation, which I think makes a lot of sense, especially if you look at like the Proud Family movie. All of it connects. I just feel like it makes so much sense, the theory that Sugar Mama is just immortal. I believe it. All right, the next two conspiracy theories that I want to talk about come from That's So Raven. That's So Raven was definitely one of my favorite Disney Channel shows as a kid, so let's jump in. So there is a really interesting conspiracy theory that Raven Baxter's psychic powers are actually a product of government experimentation, similar to that of MK Ultra / the Montauk Project. So MK Ultra was a top secret CIA program that began in the 1950s that aimed at developing mind control techniques. So the Montauk Project is a similar situation. I've done an entire video on it and how it's like the true stories behind Stranger Things, and how Stranger Things was actually supposed to be called Montauk. But basically it goes with the theory that Raven's psychic abilities actually stem from her being used as a governmental experiment as a child that ended up creating psychic abilities. So this is actually a popular like real life theory. I could do an entire video on MK Ultra and the Montauk Project again if you guys would want me to. I feel like I did this video like 5 years ago, so it's kind of been a while. But essentially it's government taking children and conducting experiments on them similarly to what we see in Stranger Things. And a lot of these children end up developing psychic tendencies or powers. So basically the whole theory is that that is how Raven got her psychic ability, is that she actually was used as a governmental experiment as a child. And I don't know, I think it makes a lot of sense, and I'm very curious to hear what you guys think. The last That's So Raven theory is something that I've been thinking about since I first watched the show as a kid, which is the idea that Raven's visions are actually a curse, not a gift. So a lot of people think that Raven's psychic abilities could have come from a curse that happened within her family. Maybe one of Raven's ancestors pissed off an ancient witch or psychic or something that was able to put a curse on her family for many generations to come, and that is why Raven has these psychic abilities. But if you notice, the visions always cause the problems and are not the solution. And this is something that has been stressing me out about That's So Raven since I was a child, because I always was so confused why Raven would have a vision and then she would try to stop the vision, but by trying to stop the vision from happening is what made the vision happen in the first place. And that low-key does sound like more of a curse than a blessing. I honestly think at this point that Raven's powers are definitely more of an inconvenience than a gift necessarily, because anytime she sees the future, she usually causes that outcome to happen, actually always causes that outcome to happen. And yet she can never break that cycle or break that curse or realize that the reason that the visions are happening the way that they are is because of how she's trying to stop them from happening. And I just feel like it's such a stressful situation, and it is cursed in my opinion. So I kind of believe this theory. Let me know your thoughts. Anyway, that is it for today's video. If you guys liked it, please give it a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of these different childhood ruining conspiracy theories, and let me know in the comments below what other TV shows and movies you want me to talk about, different theories behind from your childhood. But either way, that is it. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, and subscribe for new videos every week, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.